All right, happy Friday, everyone. I'm Anthony Antoine, filling in for Rashi Vats at 2 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us here on Houston Live and Local. I don't know about you, but I am happy it is Friday. I cannot wait for this work day to be over and then go home and relax. But, of course, we got to tell you guys about what's happening here in and around Houston. And, of course, we got some global news as well, as we are watching closely the developments here between Israel and Iran. Israel sent an attack into Iran last night, and we are getting word that Iran is currently responding. So we're going to get to that in a second here. But before we do, let's get to the forecast here really quickly, because I know a lot of you guys may have some plans. It's Father's Day weekend. JD joining us now. It's a look at what to expect, man. How you doing?
Just the short story to that, short answer is that pretty much what's happening today, we're going to do more of that on Saturday and Sunday. So scattered downpours going to be out there. I don't expect severe weather. So, tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, all that stuff.
That's good.
Exactly. That is good. But I know people are wanting to do outdoor stuff. So sometimes that's going to kind of slow us down just a little bit. But don't cancel any plans. Just kind of keep it in mind. A little bit of rain might be kind of visiting you. We're going to start with a look at our tower cam. And way off over into the left, you can see some of that rain that's happening right now. And then we're going to go to the current conditions. About 84 degrees is what it's like in the downtown Houston area. We've got those feels like temperatures about 95 degrees. So plenty warm with how hot it is with the humidity out there. Now, they've adjusted the flood watch recently. You'll notice that the counties, Matagorda County, no longer in the flood watch. So it's just our starting with Brazoria County and then Galveston, a little bit of Harris, and then up into Chambers County. Those are what we're looking for that are included in the flood watch. Look at those temperatures depending on whether or not you see the rain around you. 92 right now in Tomball. Hobby Airport at 84. They've seen the rain recently. I just drove by there as I was headed into the office. So kind of zooming in a little bit, looking at that radar. Let me see if I can kind of take us around, and you can see the heaviest of the downpours right now are going to be happening out in moving into Liberty County. So if you're out in Liberty County, you can be looking at those showers and storms just a little bit more intense. Cleveland's got quite a bit of lightning just right in the downtown Cleveland area and off to the northeast up on 69 headed towards East Texas. Splendora also looking at some heavier downpours. And then we're going to kind of zip back out to the western edge of Harris County, looking pretty good. I wanted to see what's going on. Yeah, Sugar Land just had that cell that kind of moved on through. But notice the lightning is not as intense with the storms down to the southwest. Some of that energy has kind of been zapped out of what's going on with those storms as they move through one time kind of through the area. Now, I want to put a preface here on our Fox model. It's a little aggressive. So let's not get too excited when you see what's going to be happening here.
Don't get carried away.
I don't expect this much rain later on. You'll see the rain that's out there right now going to continue to kind of blossom, but this is the part I'm talking about that's a little much. We're not going to be looking for this intense, this widespread coverage. We could have some isolated downpours that are that intense, but that's a little more than what we need right as the sun begins to set. And of course, losing that energy once the sun sets into the overnight hours, we get a break. But then we're going to do it again tomorrow. And once again, I do think this is a little aggressive as far as how widespread it is. But the general idea of it being in Interstate 10 or north, I think that's not that bad of a look overall. So in the next 5 days, we're certainly going to be looking at the collection, at least some spots as much as 2 to 3 inches, isolated areas even more than that. So a few heavy downpours today, a few less tomorrow, and then even a few less again on Sunday. But we just can't quite shake this rainier pattern where we're finding ourselves. Again, it's not a pattern where it's severe weather. It's not a pattern where it's, considered for sure flooding or anything like that. But it's at least, a 40 or 50% chance of rain kind of as we're rolling through much of next week. And then for today, we're still having those rain chances a bit higher, a Fox 26 storm alert. And then tomorrow, I don't think we'll do the Fox 26 storm alert. I just don't think there's quite as much evidence of those downpours happening. But as I mentioned, Anthony, just sort of keep it in mind that we do anticipate some downpours tomorrow, and we're not able to pinpoint exactly where those are going to fall, but we'll want to make sure everybody's aware of it and kind of keep it in mind.
That's right. And happy Father's Day, JD.
Appreciate it. I'm
That's a good
thankful
human
for
right
that.
here. He's
yeah.
the man.
Well, it's pretty good boys that I've got. So I enjoy Father's Day definitely.
All right, my man. All right. Thank you, JD. We'll check back with him in our evening newscast at 5 and 6. But now let's get to that big time news here. We started following it last night. We told you initially about Israel attacking Iran. Now we are in the midst of Iran attacking Israel. Let's go to our friends at Live Now for an update on what's happening at the moment.
And I think that's the worry there, just how long could this continue on, this back and forth right now, really chess match, if you will, here. And right now we are moments away from that UN Security Council meeting. So my last question here to you is, I know we don't have the crystal ball, but I mean, what to expect a little bit later tonight? Do we see more strikes from Israel to Iran?
Right. I think the Israelis are determined to achieve their goal here of at least maybe not completely destroying Iran's nuclear facilities, but at least degrading them significantly. And this can't be done in a day. This takes time. All right. So I think the original plan, and I think this plan continues even after these strikes from Iran, that Israel will continue carrying out this campaign of striking Iran's nuclear facilities and military bases over the next days. So I don't think this will stop. And I don't think the Iranians will stop either firing ballistic missiles at Israeli territory.
Yeah, that's such a good insight there, Joe, and really a troubling situation that continues to play out. Right now, we're getting some more updates here. U.S. forces are participating in defeating the Iranian attack on Israel. That is from an Israeli official. Tell us how that works. Is that more intelligence? Is that more maybe physically active? Tell us what that could mean.
Right. Well, we've always suspected, right? At least there have been hints involved in helping the Israelis. So I'm not surprised to see this. Now, how far is the extent of this American support with the Israelis? It's too soon to tell. Will we see American jets attacking Iranian targets? I don't know. It is possible. But what I do suspect strongly is that the United States has been supplying the weapons, the much needed weapons, offensive and defensive weapons to Israel for this attack. So I think we'll continue to see more support from the United States, and it may even grow. It may become more extensive in the next days.
And what do you think other world leaders are looking at this, and maybe some of our adversaries as well? China, what do they look like when they see these kind of conflicts continue to grow in the Middle East? It seems like they would like the attention away from themselves and focused in here in the Middle East.
Right. I think if there is one, or if there are a group of countries, and of course China is important, but I think if there's a group of countries that are looking and watching what's going on right now, it's the Gulf countries. And then there's of course the Saudis as well. They've been threatened by Iran in the past. They've been threatened by Iran's proxy militias in the region. And if this war grows, all right, this conflict between Israel and Iran continues to carry out, we may see proxy militias firing at U.S. allies or Israeli allies in the region. Again, the Gulf countries. So I think their leaders, these countries, are watching this closely. They're watching it carefully, see what's going to happen next, because they may also become targets.
Yeah, that is just so true. And boy, we really appreciate your insight, especially at such a fast paced here. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining us here on Live Now from Fox during this breaking news event. We always appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
You take care. All right, and we will continue to follow the very latest here for you on Live Now from Fox. You can see the UN Security Council meeting. It is an emergency meeting that is about to get going. We see more of the delegations continuing to take their seats. We are awaiting these major updates here coming on Live Now from Fox. We're not going anywhere. Just earlier today, the Israel UN security update that happened. Let's listen in on Live Now. All right, no audio coming from that. We'll continue to take a look at that for you here on the Live Now from Vox. But again, more updates here coming from the UN Security Council meeting just moments away. And we're bringing this to you live on Live Now from Vox. And it looks like it is starting right now.
The 9,936th meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is threats to international peace and security. The agenda is adopted. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran, of Iraq, Israel, and Kuwait to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the following briefers to participate in this meeting. Ms. Rosemary DiCarlo, Under-Secretary General for Political and Peace-Building Affairs, and Mr. Rafael Mariano Grossi, the Director General of the International Agency for Atomic Energy. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. I now give the floor to Ms. Rosemary DiCarlo.
Thank you, Madam President. Today, at approximately 3:15 a.m. local time, the Israeli military launched waves of airstrikes across Iran, targeting a number of locations, including residential areas in Tehran. These attacks, which are reportedly continuing this afternoon, have targeted Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps headquarters, military bases, radar installations, and nuclear facilities, among others. They have reportedly caused significant damage, including reportedly dozens of civilian casualties. In retaliation, Iran launched some 100 drones toward Israel, all of which were reportedly intercepted before reaching Israeli airspace. As I speak, there are reports of Iranian missiles heading towards Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces called the attack a precise preemptive strike and declared an imminent threat from Iran's nuclear program, while also announcing a domestic state of emergency. According to the IDF, over 200 Israeli Air Force aircraft were involved in the opening strikes, dropping over 330 munitions on some 100 targets. Multiple nuclear installations were struck, including in Natanz, one of the central sites of Iran's nuclear program. In a video message, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israeli forces also attacked Iran's ballistic missile capabilities and top Iranian nuclear scientists. He stated that the attacks were intended to ward off an existential threat, vowing that the battle would continue for, and I quote, as many days as it takes, end quote. The impact of these attacks has already been felt throughout the region, with neighboring countries closing their airspace and putting their security forces on high alert. The Houthis have reportedly launched missiles toward Israel, one of which has hit the occupied West Bank, causing injuries. Many regional leaders have condemned the attack as a flagrant violation of international law and an escalation that is pushing the region toward more conflict and tension. According to Iran's state media and statements made by Iran's supreme leader today, at least 4 top Iranian generals and 3 leading nuclear scientists were killed. A number of civilians have also been reportedly killed and injured. The supreme leader has promised severe punishment, and I quote, for Israel. Madam President, I reaffirm the Secretary General's condemnation of any military escalation in the Middle East. I also underline the obligation of member states not to use force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, and in accordance with the UN Charter and international law. I reiterate the call by the Secretary General to both sides to show maximum restraint at this critical moment and to avoid at all costs a descent into deeper and wider regional conflict. Of particular concern is the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. It has been reported that the Natanz enrichment complex, which houses both the fuel enrichment plant and the pilot fuel enrichment plant, suffered significant damage, including centrifuge cascade calls. The International Atomic Energy Agency resolution, adopted on 12 June, calls on Iran to meet its legal obligations and to fully cooperate with the IAEA to urgently remedy its non-compliance with its safeguards agreement. Finally, the latest dangerous escalation follows some significant diplomatic developments. Talks between Iran and the U.S. were to resume in Oman this weekend. I encourage such diplomatic efforts to continue. A peaceful resolution through negotiations remains the best means to ensure the inclusively peaceful nature of Iran's nuclear program. We must, at all costs, avoid a growing conflagration that would have enormous global consequences. Thank you, Madam President.
I thank Ms. DiCarlo for her briefing, and I now give the floor to Mr. Rafael Mariano Grossi.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Undersecretary General and dear colleagues. It is a pleasure for us to be able to contribute to this very important debate today. Early this morning, the IAEA was informed of the military operation launched by Israel, which includes, as Undersecretary General DiCarlo was just informing, which includes attacks on nuclear facilities in the Islamic Republic of Iran. As I reported this morning to the IAEA Board of Governors, we have been in permanent contact with the Iran Nuclear Regulatory Authority to ascertain the status of relevant nuclear facilities and to assess any wider impacts on nuclear safety and security. Iran confirmed that initially only the Natanz fuel enrichment plant had been attacked in today's strikes. This facility contains the fuel enrichment plant and the pilot fuel enrichment plant. At Natanz, the above ground part of the pilot fuel enrichment plant, where Iran was producing uranium enriched up to 60% uranium-235, has been destroyed. Electricity infrastructure at the facility, an electrical substation, main electric power supply building, emergency power supply and backup generators have also been destroyed. There is no indication of a physical attack on the underground cascade hall containing part of the pilot fuel enrichment plant and the main fuel enrichment plant. However, the loss of power to the cascade may have damaged the centrifuges there. The level of radioactivity outside the Natanz site has remained unchanged and at normal levels, indicating no external radiological impact to the population or the environment from this event. However, due to the impacts, there is radiological and chemical contamination inside the facilities at Natanz. The type of radiation present inside the facility, primarily alpha particles, is manageable with appropriate radiation protection measures. At present, the Iranian authorities are informing us of attacks on two other facilities namely the Fordo fuel enrichment plant, and at Isfahan, where fuel plate fabrication plant, a fuel manufacturing plant.
All right, you've been listening to the latest there between Israel and Iran in this ongoing conflict. We'll take a quick commercial break and be right back. All right, welcome back to Houston Live and Local. I'm Anthony Antoine. So right now I want to introduce you guys to a member of the Special Olympics here. His name is Blake Yah. He's joining us, and he's also sitting beside Rosalind Amaka, and they're going to talk to us about the importance of everyone at home participating and supporting the Special Olympics, right?
Absolutely, for sure.
All right, so Blake, welcome. Educate the people at home about the Special Olympics.
So the Special Olympics is a movement where we involve people with intellectual disabilities. It's to promote inclusion and to hopefully bring the world together. I mean, our world definitely needs more of the inclusion. It really is a movement that, I mean, every time I go to a Special Olympics event, everybody is just so happy to be there. It's an amazing place to be.
Yeah. And why is it important for everyone to just know, like, hey, this is something you should be supporting?
Because of all the division going on right now, I believe we need to be able to bring inclusion to the world and bring people together. It's really an important aspect of why Special Olympics exists. Yeah. However, even in my letter, I mentioned why it was so important to bring more education to Special Olympics, to bring more organizations together. It's about bringing people together. That's the main important reason.
I love that. And are you playing in a sport? What's your sport?
Basketball and soccer.
Basketball. Okay, you're a hooper and you play soccer as well?
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Are you excited for the World Cup next year?
Yeah, I'm planning to go to one of the games.
Okay. All right. So talk about just the training and, how intense it is for you to participate and, be an athlete, dual sport athlete at that.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of practice. Sometimes, I'm working too. So, between work and practice, I'm sometimes practicing like 4 times a week.
Wow.
Maybe sometimes 2 times a week. It just depends on my work schedule. It mixes up quite a bit. Yeah. And so basically I'm training like 4 times a week. So the training's intense. Yeah. It's typically 1-2 hours. It just depending on which delegation I'm with. But it's a lot of fun. It really isn't about the practices you go to. It's a smile on everyone's faces you see every time you go to the practices even. It's just Special Olympics is such an amazing movement. People need to know more and more about it.
I couldn't have said it any better, my man. And Rosalind, just kind of tell us about your role in working with alongside them.
Yes, my name is Rosalind Omaka, and I am the founder of Belanle Media, and I am super happy to be working with Blake and other Olympic athletes because we tell stories, and we love sharing people's amazing stories on camera and making sure that that message, it doesn't matter as far as what anyone says about you, you literally can do anything that you can achieve.
Absolutely. I also wanted to add to Rosalind, we're doing a documentary regarding day in the life of the athlete. And it's going to be filming and educating families why it's so important to show people that have disabilities that they can overcome anything. So many families today don't realize that their child can overcome anything. I'm not saying to put unrealistic expectations, but I'm also saying their child can overcome anything they put their mind to. It's an amazing. That's what makes Special Olympics so amazing, is that the inclusion revolution promotes those big ideas.
Yeah. How have you grown from being a part of the Special Olympics? Because not only are you working, you're also training, and that's a lot for anyone. Like, how have you grown as a person being a part of the Special Olympics?
Good question. So currently, I'm actually writing letters to celebrities and really big individuals. And I mean, I'm so great to meet Rosalind. Rosalind's an amazing, person. She's been great. But I'm currently writing letters to celebrities and people around the area, not just that, hopefully now worldwide, to spread the message of inclusion. And it's incredible to hear some responses back. I've already gotten 8 responses. One from a district judge here showing my appreciation, and she was very open to the response. I mean, it's amazing to see the feedback I get from all the letters I write.
I tell you, man, reading your letter and just meeting you in person, you are the right person to be advocating for this.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job. And
Thank you.
What do you hope to capture in the documentary too? Like when you're there and you're following so many people and sharing their story. Like, what do you hope to capture?
That I can show families that no matter what, you can overcome anything.
Yeah.
Just to give you an example, I got the chance to go to Washington, D.C. this year. I had the chance to meet with Congressman Pete Sessions.
Yeah.
Wonderful man. He's like, I really believe God brought us together, and that was really what made it so amazing just to be there with, 2 other athletes from Texas who were from different parts. There was only 3 of us that got to go, and to meet Mary Davis and to get an email from her is an amazing deal. Several, just the people even at the top are such amazing, happy people. It's what makes this movement so great.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to add to it?
Oh, yes. And just to add, I will definitely say, capturing that moment of what he was talking about, I want people to feel what that athlete is feeling whenever they're going through that motion of getting to the consistency every day of the day-to-day hustle. And it's like, wow, I worked really hard, and look at this, look at all of what I've done. People can actually do it. They just place doubt within themselves. And so being able to capture that on camera where people can literally step into another athlete's shoes, it makes them self-reflect. So I believe that if we all self-reflect, that's truly how we make a difference. It's not something crazy. It's literally what I can control now, what I can do every single day, no matter what obstacles and objections that come my way.
And I just wanted to add to what Rosalind was saying, overcoming obstacles. One way to stand out in the world is not being like everybody else. It's continuing to be yourself. It's continuing to stay true to who you are and not allowing things to get to you.
Blake, you're the man. Rosalind, thank you so much for joining us as well. I wish you the best of luck, buddy. You don't need luck because you got the drive, but thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Houston Live and Local. We want to continue our coverage between the conflict with Israel and Iran. We are now getting word that the U.S. is helping Israel intercept Iranian missiles. Let's get back out to Fox Live and Local to get some more details there.
The Iranians took this for years and did not reject interacting with IAEA, nor did move away from a dialogue so as to find negotiated solutions. I would like to recall here, and this is of principal importance now, that all of the issues having to do with JCPOA began when the United States unilaterally left the nuclear deal in 2018. And also,
all right, everyone, we will step away from the UN Security Council meeting. I do want to go right now. We are getting remarks right now from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's listen in on Live Now.
Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them. The nation of Iran and the nation of Israel have been true friends since the days of Cyrus the Great. And the time has come for you to unite around your flag and your historic legacy by standing up for your freedom from an evil and oppressive regime. It has never been weaker. This is your opportunity to stand up and let your voices be heard. Woman, life, freedom. Zan, Zandegi, Azadi. As I said yesterday and many times before, Israel's fight is not with you. It's not with you, the brave people of Iran, whom we respect and admire. Our fight is with our common enemy, a murderous regime that both oppresses you and impoverishes you. Brave people of Iran, your light will defeat the darkness. I'm with you. The people of Israel are with you.
All right, that was just some of the playback that we received just moments ago from Netanyahu. We'll continue to track the very latest for you here on Live Now from Vox. I do want to get back out, though, to the UN Security Council meeting, this emergency meeting on the conflict in the Middle East. Let's listen in.
Which participated in the strikes in their bases in Cyprus. We also noticed a statement made by Israel when they said that they warned about their attacks. They warned Germany, JCPOA participant, and Italy. It also came to the fore that our American colleagues also had information about the strikes. The Israeli strikes were also supported by the French, who clearly knew about them beforehand. And we will not be surprised here if the members of this group of like-minded states will start condemning Iran for their actions, which they undertook fully in line with Article 51 of the Charter. We are following very closely the current situation with the IAEA Secretariat. The life and health of its personnel has been threatened by the Israeli military adventure, and we expect that the Director General of the agency is going to provide us with objective assessment and analysis of developing situation, including from the viewpoint of radiological consequences. Madam President, the unprovoked attacks against the territory of sovereign Iran, the targeted strikes on the peaceful nuclear facilities cannot be justified in any way. The international community cannot and should not stand idly by when such a provocation presents itself. And tolerating such actions is a sure way to large-scale war and a serious threat to global security. We're convinced that the Security Council has to provide an unequivocal legal and political assessment of what's been done by Israel, and also call for an immediate halt to any kind of pressure by force and for a rejection of practice of unilateral military steps. We need to support any and all diplomatic efforts aimed at de-escalation and the return to negotiations. Let me underscore yet once again that settling issues having to do with the Iranian nuclear program is only possible if a peaceful political and diplomatic pathway is followed. No forceful resolution can be either legitimate nor viable here. By the way, let me say that the United States themselves have stated this repeatedly when they explain their readiness to continue with negotiations. Russia remains committed to strengthening international law, abiding by the UN Charter, and finding solutions which exclude further sliding of the region towards a new destructive war. And we are ready to work with all those who will advocate diplomacy and who will be looking for peaceful means to resolve differences. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Algeria.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I wish to extend my appreciation to you for your prompt response in convening this urgent meeting, which underscores the gravity of the situation before us. I thank USG Di Carlo and Director General Grossi for their insightful briefing. From the outset of the mandate of Algeria on this Council, we have consistently warned against the growing danger of a broad regional conflagration, fueled by a spiral of illegal acts and multiple provocations of Israel. The events of today sadly confirm the validity of those warnings. We are now faced again with the serious and deliberate act of aggression. The Israeli army have launched coordinated strikes on the territory of Iran, targeting both military and civilian infrastructure. These actions are not only unprovoked and unjustifiable. They constitute a flagrant violation of international law, a violation of the Charter of the United Nations. As clearly articulated in Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the Charter, all members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat of or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, or in any other manner and consistent with the purposes of the United Nations. The logic of unilateral force, of so-called preemptive strikes, outside any legal mandate, cannot be normalized and cannot be tolerated within this Council. Once again, these attacks prove that the only thing that preemptive action could prevent is peace. So the justifications presented by Israeli officials are unacceptable. They are flawed, especially since they come from a UN member that continues to operate outside the framework of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, that is not fully under the IAEA nuclear safeguards regime, and which has persistently refused to join the negotiation process related to the establishment of a zone free of nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East. In its communique published this morning, the IAEA recalls the numerous General Conference resolutions on the topic of military attacks against nuclear facilities, providing that any armed attacks, I quote, any armed attack or and a threat against nuclear facility devoted to peaceful purposes constitutes a violation of the principle of the United Nations Charter, a violation of the international law and the status of the agency. Furthermore, the IAEA has consistently underlined that armed attacks on nuclear facilities could result on radioactive releases with grave consequences within and beyond the boundaries of the state which has been attacked. Colleagues, let us overlook the timing. Let us not overlook the timing. These attacks occurred precisely as Iran and the United States, with the facilitation of Oman, are engaged in indirect negotiation regarding Iran's nuclear program. A sixth round of discussion was due to take place this weekend in Muscat. The question must be asked about these attacks. Why now? Madam President, the use of force without Security Council authorization, absent a legitimate claim of self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter, undermines the very foundation of the international legal order that this body, the Security Council, was created to uphold. It is an act completely divorced from any legal ground, but does not come to the surprise of anyone in this chamber. Yes, the Israeli acts like if international law does not exist, or simply it does not apply to them. Israel is sowing chaos throughout the region, throughout the Middle East. Its conduct is unworthy of a member of the United Nations. We are witnessing a repeated act of aggression. The bombing of the Lebanese capital, the occupation of new territories in Syria, in Lebanon, in Palestine, and repeated violation of Syrian sovereignty, including abduction of civilians, as occurred just yesterday. In Gaza, Israel is using starvation as a method of warfare, in clear violation of international humanitarian law. A genocide is unfolding before our eyes, before your eyes. This is the behavior of a rogue state, and yet some still wonder why the Middle East remains so dangerously unstable. Madam President, the international community cannot allow a precedent to take hold whereby Israel acts as a judge and a jury, launching unilateral attacks in violation of established legal norms. Such course of action would erode the credibility of the Security Council and diminish the authority of the United Nations Charter itself. We must reaffirm clearly and collectively that the principles enshrined in the Charter are not optional.
All right, we just heard from the emergency meeting from the UN Security Council. The representative from Algeria speaking right there, and right beside that you see images there of Israel, where we know Iran is carrying out a retaliatory attack there, and we also know the U.S. is helping Israel strike down those missiles that are being launched from Iran into Israel. All right, we'll continue to follow that for sure with the Middle East region, but we had some big local breaking news here. I want to read to you for just a second here. Oscar Rosales has been sentenced to death after being convicted of killing Precinct 5 Corporal Charles Galloway. That is Oscar right there walking into the courtroom. A jury had found Rosales guilty for shooting Galloway during a traffic stop in 2022. In seeking the death penalty, prosecutors told jurors he was a continued threat to the public. Again, the big breaking news here: Oscar Rosales sentenced to death after killing Deputy 5 Corporal Charles Galloway. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Houston Live and Local. I'm Anthony Antoine. Well, Clear Creek ISD has a new tool to help students, explore their education during the summer months. It's a great program here. The district is now unveiling Voyager. It's a mobile lab and bookmobile. And joining me now to talk more about that is Dr. Susan Silva, the Clear Creek Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, happy to be here.
Okay, so let's talk. What's Voyager all about?
Well, Voyager is something actually we've been working on since about 2022, wow, yeah. And we took an old school bus, and made it into a place where students can visit in the summer. And even it will tour in the fall at classrooms, at schools. It will be a place where students can read and pick out books in the summertime. And then it's also a place that has some exploration areas and some creation areas. I don't know if you're familiar with a makerspace, but that's part of a library typically. And so libraries aren't just for reading anymore, and we do a lot more than that. And so we've built a little mobile library in that bus.
Great.
That's right. And you can see that our bus has sort of a space theme on the wrap, and inside it has a space theme on the ceiling as well.
What's been the response, like from both the students and parents?
Well, we are just unveiling it. Yeah. So the intention is to be able to connect with our community more in the summer. So we are starting our rounds with the Voyager next week.
Okay.
So it'll be on the road, and we'll be visiting a couple of elementary schools in our school district, and then a public library in that little area every day, Monday through Thursday, for the next several weeks. So we are hoping it's going to be very popular, but we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Students can actually go on the bus and choose a book to read and then take it home with them. And so they can take the book with them, share with their siblings, share with their friends in the neighborhood, because we know the importance of reading in the summertime.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah, reading in the summertime is very important. So I used to be a kindergarten teacher and a first grade teacher, so I remember how important it is. Those teachers and students work very hard all school year long. And then when May comes, school gets out, and of course we want to take a break for a moment, right? And we all need to rest and relax and do some fun stuff, but it's really important that students continue that reading, because that's how you get to become a better reader, is by practicing. And so they'll have an opportunity to start practicing, and we're hoping that the mobileness of the bus will encourage that reading. If they're not doing it, they might think, oh, I should go get a book and read. And
so it's kind of like, instead of like a parent finding time to go to the local library, you guys want to go to them.
That's right. We are going closer to them. We're going to their schools, which they're very familiar with and love and often miss in the summertime. And so we will be in their parking lots in their area, and with a couple of librarians on staff in the bookmobile. And we're hoping to see lots of children. So come on out and visit us.
I love this. So my sister's a teacher.
Oh, awesome.
So and I have cousins that are teachers as well. So I'm kind of close to this, topic of reading. And, my sister always talks about in the summertime, since the pandemic even, and the learning loss from the pandemic. So like, this is really something like parents either please take advantage of this, because the pandemic definitely had an impact.
Pandemic had an impact, and we say in the schools, we don't want a lot of summer slide.
Right.
And what that means is kids that regress in the summertime just because they're not practicing. And that's very true about reading. It's also true about math and adding and subtracting, all of those things. So I know there's a lot of apps for students to use on their mobile devices for things like that. But this is a great way to really engage with books and come out and do that.
Is this something that's just summertime specific, or do you think even during the school year you can find ways to utilize it as well?
So we have a couple of ideas for the bus. One is the bookmobile, which will be primarily focused around books in the summertime. And then as we transition into the fall, we intend to transition to more of a makerspace or a stream bus. And a makerspace will have activities on it that align with what they're doing in class. So they may be doing something in third grade science, and a third grade teacher can request that the bus come out to their school and then go out into the bus and have sort of an extension activity, maybe a reward activity, that kind of thing. So it's going to have a little multi-purpose.
I love this idea. I think this is awesome. How can parents kind of figure out the schedule and where the bus will be? Like, do they have a website or something they can go to?
Yes, all the schedules are on our website at ccisd.net/Voyager, and we will be making rounds to several campuses this summer. And please come out. You don't have to go to that school. You can come to any school.
That.
Yes, there's a lot of school. We have a lot of schools in the district. We are not going to all of them, but certainly we will be in lots of them. And I know that even if the bus is not coming to the school where your child goes to school, you can still come out and visit at a neighboring school. All are welcome.
Keep us posted on this. I would love to do a little follow-up story and get the success of it.
Absolutely.
This is
Maybe
good
in the
stuff.
fall.
Come on.
Yeah,
I love it.
let's
All
do
right.
it.
Dr. Susan Silver with Clear Creek ISD, thank you so much for coming in and wish you guys all
Absolutely.
the best with that program. And you guys at home, thank you so much for joining us here from 2 to 3 o'clock on Houston Live and Local. I'm Anthony Antoine. Have a good day. Yep. All right, welcome back to Houston Live and Local. I'm Anthony Antoine here from 3 to 3:30. I want to let you guys know that we are standing by for a press conference. Sean Tier, the Harris County DA, is speaking right now in regards to Oscar Rosales being sentenced to death after being convicted of killing a Precinct 5 Corporal, Charles Galloway. Let's listen in.
Being able to carry it all the way through is a testament to what an incredible attorney and prosecutor he is. The relationship that he was able to build with the family, with the Precinct 5 family, with law enforcement as a whole, is really reflective of how incredible he is as a lawyer. Jamie Burrow and Katherine Johnson have been with this case for some time as well, and this is one of the best trial teams I've ever seen assembled anywhere, let alone at our DA's office. So I'm so proud of them. I'm so happy that this is over, that this family, that Precinct 5, that all of us in the community can begin to heal now that Mr. Rosales is where he belongs. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to let Nathan come talk about this trial.
Absolutely. Yes, first we'd like to thank the jury, the judge, and the defense team and everybody who participated. Like Sean said, he called me that night that Deputy Galloway, or Corporal Galloway, was killed. And we've been working on this together for almost 3 years, or over 3 years now. It was tough. It's always important when an officer is killed in the line of duty for us to seek justice. And with the help of Katherine and Jamie, who've done phenomenal jobs, we were able to seek that justice. I also want to give thanks to the Houston Police Department, the U.S. Marshal's Office, Precinct 5, all the other agencies that put this case together, because While we worked hard and we've been putting this case together, we never would have gotten anywhere without their fine work, because they did an excellent job putting together a solid case. And we would not have been able to prosecute Mr. Rosales and get the just penalty without them doing their work on the front end. And so thank you all, because they are an amazing police force and they did an amazing job. We believe justice was found today. It was a long trial, 2 weeks, possibly shorter than most death penalty trials, but that's because of the case that the police departments put together. We were working tirelessly. We've been with the family. We hope we provided some closure for them. And we believe we kept Harris County just a little bit safer with that verdict.
All right. So, and his prosecutors there addressing the media after that sentencing of Oscar Rosales to death. We'll get back to that in our evening newscast at 5 and 6. All right. So also here today, stealing money using AI. No, we'll get to that in a second. JD is here with a look at the weather. I'm jumping.
I'm here.
Can't forget about my boy JD. My bad.
That's okay. You're taking care of business. The weather's here. We're always going to be available to kind of jump in here, make sure you know what's happening out there.
I appreciate that.
No surprises as far as some heat that's out there today. It was one of those deals where I ran, my wife and I went to the natatorium this morning, swam some laps, and it rained on us as we were on the way there. And then you get back and the heat, the steam just everywhere, right? It's all in my garage. I'm like, what is all this going on out
Walk
here?
outside, my glasses just.
Oh, yeah. No, just so much humidity and the sun. And again, if you get the rain, you get a little break, right? But then it doesn't last that long.
But I gotta be honest, I don't think I need much more rain where I live because the ground is so saturated. I don't need much more rain.
You're like the fourth person in this building who's told me that enough.
I'm good.
We're good. That's exactly what I've been hearing. And I think I'm in agreement with that, especially those folks down in Matagorda County that got like over 10 inches of rain yesterday. Right. They certainly have had enough of that rain too. But yeah, a little bit of a break would be nice. And I'm not going to be able to pull the plug on the rain chances completely, but they'll be a little bit more in check, a little more reasonable as we roll through the Father's Day weekend. So let's start with our tower cam as we look outside. And we've been able to see some showers at times on our tower cam, but I don't think we have anything going right now at the moment. But we're definitely looking at those warmer temperatures. And here's what I'm talking about. Air temperature, the thermometers say 88 degrees, but what you feel when you go outside, remember, you don't act like a thermometer. You work differently, and that's why we always talk about the feels like temperature. And so your body is more thinking it's 99 degrees when you're outside. We have the flood watch just for our coastal counties heading over to the east towards Louisiana. Matagorda County actually has been dropped from the flood watch, even though they've had all the rain. There's just not as much in their forecast, and you can see the scattered showers across the area. And where you see the showers, you see the cooler temperatures, somewhat cooler. And where you see no rain, you see things heated up. So College Station sitting at 93 degrees currently. So we'll start down to the southwest. A few showers still rolling through the Sugarland area. They've consistently seen some downpours through the day-to-day. Last hour when I checked in with you, Liberty County was just getting hosed with all of the shower activity and still pretty active right along that corridor between 45 and 69. Splendor still having some showers. Cleveland still getting some more rain back into the spring area, and more of the folks right along Interstate 45. So if you're cutting out of work, maybe just a little early since it's Friday, there's still going to be a bit of a commute issue with those showers and storms that are out there. But you can see the stronger of the storms have cleared out and kind of moved over a little bit. I'm going to look here just a little bit more into these Livingston storms. Yeah, there's still some pretty intense storms up around Livingston with all of that lightning. You can see the red indicating those heavier downpours. Groveton also getting soaked right now, just having moved through Trinity. So still some rain out there. It's just not sitting in the metro area. Futurecast shows that this is going to continue till we get to sunset. We lose some of that energy, and then as we move through the evening hours, we keep the rain chances sort of decreasing as we continue on. But we get into tomorrow, and we're going to crank things back up again a bit in the afternoon. So we see that a little better here with this Futurecast as the showers and storms are a little bit still lingering around. We stop the rain in the overnight. We get to tomorrow until we get to the afternoon. This is around 1 o'clock. You see how things become much more active. It's still not organized organized, and it's still scattered for the most part overall. And we're still going to be looking for those downpours to create some of those short-term problems. But overall, we're not looking for severe weather. So that's going to be the good news. At the moment, I have not issued a Fox 26 storm alert for either Saturday or Sunday. We're going to keep it with today because we still have the flood watch through 7 p.m. for some of our coastal counties. And then also just those heavier downpours seem a little bit more intense today. So we'll see how that goes. Tomorrow morning, maybe Allison Guerrero in the morning, I'll have to issue that Fox 26 storm alert. But right now, Anthony, I think we're going to be able to avoid it. The storm alert, that is, we're still going to have some of those showers and storms across the area for tomorrow. So whatever your weekend plans look like, just kind of be aware. There's going to be a little bit of rain around. Briefly could interrupt things a bit.
You know what they say, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And now you guys got to be prepared because we've been telling you about the rain.
Okay, he said it.
So prepare accordingly.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
JD, you're the man. Appreciate you, bud.
Thank you.
All right, now let's get to that AI story I kind of wanted to tell you guys about so eagerly. All right, so stealing money using AI is not something that is uncommon, but now we have a man here in Houston who's 76 years old. He says someone used AI to clone his voice and then convinced his accountant to send thousands of dollars to a random account. Now he's out all this money. So now he is in a legal fight right now, and Fox 26's Abigail Dye has more in his story.
In December, I brought you this story of 76-year-old Gary Cunningham, who says criminals stole $20,000 from him using AI.
The criminals wound up hacking my email.
Cunningham says the criminals used his voice to convince his accountant to send $20,000 from Plains Capital Bank to a bank he hadn't heard of in North Dakota.
And she was convinced it was my talking to her, and I didn't. I was on a plane to Chicago. There was no way that was me.
Now he's suing both banks, all on his own.
These are banks that are involved, and I believe I've got enough information here to force the banks to start doing things differently, because I believe that in my filing I said I believe that they were negligent. They were grossly negligent.
Going up against a bank without a lawyer, that's a big task. Why are you doing this alone?
I think I could handle this, and I think I can do it as effectively, and I don't want to spend the money. I'm as much concerned about how these guys are getting away with it with unsuspecting people that don't know what's happening.
Cunningham's federal lawsuit aims to make banks provide better protections because using AI for crime is all too easy.
Just how easy is it for people to clone someone's voice or likeness?
It's very easy to clone somebody's likeness, and it's very easy to clone somebody's voice because we are putting everything on social media, Facebook, every app possible.
Shooting this brief video to show you. Dr. Patrick Dix is right. Someone even used my social media videos for a deep fake. To put this in perspective, it just took me a few minutes to find this AI cloning website. I recorded my voice, and now I can put anything I want in this box, and it'll play back the AI clone.
Hello.
Hey girl.
What's up?
Quick question. I'm feeling kind of off today. Do I sound like myself?
Not really. I'm sure if you kept talking and it seemed like it was you, then I would just go along with it.
Those numbers are going to continue to grow. And remember, these are people from all over the world doing this. So it's not just domestic. This is international.
And they're scamming a lot of elderly that don't have the capabilities of defending themselves. And I'm hoping there'll be enough pressure and enough understanding from both the institutions and the banks that something can be done. And that's why I'm doing it, more than the money. And from my heart, I'm telling you that's the truth.
So how can you avoid someone cloning your voice or falling victim to this kind of scheme? I'll tell you all about it on this story on Fox26Houston.com and on Fox Local. For Fox 26 News, I'm Abigail Dye.
All right, Abigail, thank you. Well, tariffs can certainly have an impact on your wallet, but it is also impacting farmers out there in the industry as a whole. Joining us now to talk more about this, business reporter Tom Ziska, here to explain it for us. Tom?
Howdy. So I think I've been covering farmers for a number of years around here. I think people would be really surprised to find just 35 miles from downtown Houston, it's farm country.
Yeah.
Southwest of here. And they have a much different set of concerns. There are about 250,000 farms in the state of Texas, and a lot of them are around our area, and tariffs are an important part of their discussion because about 20% of U.S. agriculture goes to international exports. And a lot of those markets have been closed or curtailed, primarily China, Mexico, amongst others. And a lot of these farmers, they're getting close to harvest time, if you can believe that. Yeah. And they're wondering, all right, so I've got a decent crop going right now, but I don't know where it's going to go. Yeah. And I don't know what price I'm going to get for it. So they could have this great bumper crop and maybe break even if they're lucky, or potentially lose money.
So if they have this great harvest, are there any government subsidies or anything out there that can kind of help them if they potentially go into the red?
That's the second half of this conversation is the Farm Bill, which you may have heard over the years. The latest one was passed in 2018. It's been extended like Washington does. Oh, we'll just kind of kick the can down the road. So the latest can comes to an end in September, the end of September. And the big, beautiful bill that's being debated has a new farm bill in it, provides a safety net, but it's a lot of money. It's up to $19 billion a year in subsidies for crop losses and various and sundry things. That's a lot of money. That's a big target item for budget hawks.
So kind of like where are farmers right now? I'd imagine the anxiety associated with all of this is like through the roof.
Well, the big mystery right now is how much is their crop worth? Commodity prices for corn, cotton, grain, sorghum, which it's a thing. The prices are pretty low right now. And the input cost to produce an acre of crop is among the highest it's ever been. So it's a by the skin of your teeth kind of proposition.
And then for farmers, do you think, like, because of what's happening now, how do they forecast the next harvest and the next season? Like, do they change the quantity of what they put out there in the ground to kind of grow for the following harvest, or do they just kind of, it is what it is?
And again, I'm in the deep end here because I'm not a farmer.
No,
but based on what I've been able to learn, they'll rotate crops in a field. Couple seasons of this, a couple seasons of that, because each crop does different things to the soil. But fertilizers and the other input costs, for example, it costs more than $800 an acre to produce an acre of corn. You factor that over 500 acres, that's almost $450,000 just to produce. And then you got to get that out of it to make a buck. So it's these men and women who do this. They impact everything we do. You want to eat. You want to have clothes. You need a farmer, and they step up to the line every single season to try to make it happen. And this is just another challenge for them. There's a challenge every single year.
Tom Ziska, business reporter and resident farmer, giving us the insight on that. Appreciate you, Tom. Always a pleasure. All right, we'll take a quick commercial break here. All right, Houston Live and Local here. I'm Anthony Antoine. I want to bring you guys back out to the UN Security Council, who called an emergency meeting here after Israel attacked Iran last night. And now, as we speak, Iran is retaliating, launching an attack into Israel. You're going to hear from a representative from Greece right now in New York City.
That now more than ever, a diplomatic resolution is the only option. It is our only hope for peace and security in the region and beyond. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Greece for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, Madam President. We would like to also join colleagues in thanking Director General Grossi and Undersecretary General Di Carlo for their briefings. Madam President, Pakistan strongly condemns unjustified and illegitimate aggression by Israel against the Islamic Republic of Iran. Pakistan stands in resolute solidarity with the brotherly people of Iran. We offer our sympathies and condolences on the loss of life and damages due to these heinous attacks. The Israeli military strikes violate the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Iran and clearly contravene the UN Charter and fundamental principles of international law. We unequivocally denounce these blatant provocations, which constitute a grave danger and a serious threat to the peace, security, and stability of the entire region and beyond, with serious implications. Iran has the right to self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Madam President, these attacks follow a dangerous pattern of Israeli irresponsible conduct marked by ongoing military operations in Gaza and repeated cross-border strikes in Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, demonstrating a consistent and deliberate disregard for international norms. Israel's actions in the Middle East reflect a continuing pattern of unilateral militarism in flagrant violation of Article 2.4 of the UN Charter and represent acts of aggression as defined under General Assembly Resolution 3314 of 1974. Israel's serial breaches of sovereignty normalize impunity, erode the authority of the United Nations, and gravely undermine the international order. Such blatant aggression and contempt for international law has already had devastating consequences. In Gaza, tens of thousands of civilians have been killed as a result of Israeli military onslaught, and a humanitarian catastrophe has unfolded under an illegal blockade that has in fact been there for over 15 years. In Syria, Yemen, and Lebanon, Israeli airstrikes have repeatedly targeted sovereign territory, undermining regional stability and exacerbating tensions. The fact that these attacks against Iran have happened in the middle of a negotiations process aimed at finding a peaceful diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue makes it all the more morally repugnant and against international norms. These actions risk eroding the trust and sanctity of the negotiations process, so crucial for the peaceful settlement of these issues. Madam President, Pakistan reaffirms its support for the resolution of the Iranian nuclear issue through peaceful means, diplomatic engagement, and sustained dialogue. The JCPOA was an outcome of painstaking and arduous yet constructive negotiations. It charted a roadmap to comprehensively address the concerns of the parties involved by clearly defining their relevant obligations and responsibilities. The illegal use of force against Iran and the ensuing situation are likely to frustrate the ongoing diplomatic efforts and could destabilize a region that is already under very severe stress. The ongoing diplomatic contacts to reach a negotiated deal and other endeavors to promote regional peace and security must not be allowed to be appended. It is highly regrettable that these attacks have happened when the IAEA was continuing its verification activities in Iran. Such actions threaten the IAEA's technical work, which should be supported and not disrupted. Israel has violated international law, IAEA statute, and several IAEA resolutions by attacking the IAEA safeguarded facilities. In addition to serious violation of international law, these attacks risk setting a dangerous negative precedent and pose a grave threat to safety of populations in the region and around the globe. Pakistan, as an immediate neighbor of Iran, is therefore seriously concerned. Security Council Resolution 487 strongly affirmed such attacks as a clear violation of the UN Charter, the norms of international conduct, and a serious threat to the entire IAEA safeguard regime. We call on all parties, Madam President, to fulfill their respective obligations and responsibilities and avoid escalation. Even in these testing times, diplomatic engagement and dialogue must be prioritized. Clearly, the international community is in favor of peace and stability in the region. In a few days, next week, the international community, the UN membership, was to come together to express its will to chart the path for the Palestinian state as part of the two-state solution that would usher in the long-awaited, just, and durable peace in the Middle East. Israel's reckless and irresponsible behavior cannot be allowed to jeopardize the efforts for peace, endanger the stability of the entire region, and risk wider escalation, thereby threatening global peace and security. The Security Council bears primary responsibility to maintain international peace and security and to stop this aggression immediately. It must hold the aggressor accountable for its actions. This council must deny Israel the free hand and the impunity with which it continues to operate in defiance of international law and international opinion. It is also our collective responsibility to reject any notions by anyone, anywhere, that seek to distort, misuse, and abuse the right of self-defense in violation of international law and the UN Charter. Finally, this Council must collectively muster the courage to take positions and adopt decisions that are in full conformity with the Charter of the United Nations. In accordance with its responsibility, the Council should encourage, support, and prioritize dialogue and diplomacy to advance peaceful resolution of conflicts. That is the only viable path forward, as many around the table have also echoed in their comments. I thank you, Madam President.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for his statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, President. And I'd like to start by thanking USG DiCarlo and Director General Grossi for their briefings. President, the Security Council meets today at a dangerous moment. We are deeply concerned by Israel's strikes on sites in Iran, as well as the Iranian military action we've already seen in response. There is a clear risk that this crisis escalates, with serious implications for peace and security across the region.
All right, we are taking a quick listen in here to the emergency meeting happening in New York City for the UN Security Council. You just heard from a representative from Pakistan. The representative now from the United Kingdom is speaking. We're going to step away for right now. Caroline and Rashi is coming up next here on our stream, whether you're watching on Fox Local or Fox26Houston.com. I'm Anthony Antoine. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you back here at 4 o'clock.